Yo! We'll see how long this takes to pop up on the actual thing. Because it says it's going good, but you never know.
Is it lying to you?
Could be.
So this part gets up on YouTube and then it actually plays our intro?
No, still no on the intro. I need. That's one thing I need to fix
there you
up.
go.
Yeah, one thing I need to fix up is my plan is currently to experiment with one new thing each week for the live. Yep. So the one for this week was being able to actually schedule it and have it appear and connect it up with OPS correctly. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going all right. Looks like it's going all right on there.
Cool. But so when this gets released on YouTube, this bit that we're talking right now does get stuck in there?
Correct.
Cool. Okay.
Correct. Unless I decide to
cut it or whatever.
But
I don't regardless
see what
then.
The point would be.
So should we kick it off now?
Yeah, I just need to do a little test, a little teat, in fact. Ooh la la. So we'll see how long that takes to pop up as well. But should be going pretty good. I want to have this in this corner. I want to make this smaller. Ding, 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 ding. So how much research did you do for this one, Juan?
Zero
research.
Zero research was done for this one.
Unbelievable, techers.
I don't think it actually needed too much research, which is a good thing,
really.
though.
I wrote
my couple of notes actually I almost started thinking about research, and I went, actually, some stuff here that I want to talk about that's requires no research at all.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Good. Well, I didn't need to do much either, so... No. Where's my little thing? Here we go. Alright, that's about as much as I need. We'll see if people actually show up or not. And then that is being super small. Why are you doing that? There we go. That's what I want. Yeah. Alright. Cool. You ready to rumble?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll kick us off.
Go. No, I'll do it. I'll do this one. Oh, I mean, it should be like, what's you know what? I could actually even hold up the microphone to the laptop speakers to get the music coming in from there. It would sound so dodgy, but it is one thing. Welcome, everyone, to a live episode of the Mere Mortals Musings. You've got Kyron here on this side.
Juan on the other corner.
And today we're going to be talking about anime. Anime! So
why anime?
So Juan came up with this topic. So you tell me, why anime?
Well, look, so a bit of background. We talked about this in a previous podcast, but in essence, you gave me a recommendation. You said, one, Netflix shows, you should check out Arcane. And again, this was me with my apprehension at the beginning where I went, do I really want to go and watch this?
Yes, there was some
first of all, it was
hesitation.
like, it's kind of like, it is, would you say it's anime?
Technically speaking, I would say no.
Okay.
But we can get
into that. Okay, yeah. So I'd like to know the definition of what you see as anime. Because for me, I went, that is anime. This is anime for me. And I ended up watching the series. There's only one season out right now. Season 2 comes out in a year's time. But I ended up watching that entire season, and I think there's 9 episodes, and each one was about 40-odd minutes, and I watched it in 2 days. So in 2 days, I smashed it all down, and I went, I love this. And it actually made me think and recall, there's some reasons why I really like anime, and there was a lot of things in Arcane which I loved. And just a little bit of a note for people who don't know that particular series, Arcane. So correct me here if I'm wrong, because I know you've watched it as well. So it comes from the League of Legends backstory. So Jinx and
like the universe.
Jinx and V are like players in League of Legends.
I've never played it myself.
I've never played it myself either. I know my sister has played it, definitely plays it. Has played it tons of time. But going back, there was particular characters there who were part of the League of Legends sort of series. So in any case, the storyline is pretty exciting. I'm not going to do it justice. You can go check it out what it is. But in any case, that's what made me think, I want to talk about anime, because it just reminded me of some of the items specifically around anime that makes me enjoy it. But I don't know if you've got a definition, because I'm calling it anime, and you've said to me that no, it isn't.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, one thing we need to work out still is, do we do Boostagrams right at the start here, or should we leave it later on, or the middle? Let's go for the middle.
Maybe middle
this time. Okay, yeah. So The definition that I got was from YouTube of all not YouTube of all places, Wikipedia of all places, and there was sort of two, and I found this really funny. So one is in anime is animation regardless of style. So in Japan, they consider anime to be anything that is animation. So
Arcane would be considered anime.
So yes,
Finding Nemo would be considered
Finding
anime.
Nemo. So would The Simpsons.
Correct.
All of these would be considered anime. Now, for the more Western style of the definition, it is Japanese produced animation. So in that case, and see, like the reason for this is, the word anime comes from Japan, but as it migrates over into English, we're looking at these Japanese style ones. So I'm talking like Cowboy Bebop, like back in the day, and Pokemon and things like that. They had a very, there's a style to them. You can't say The Simpsons and your classic anime are the same thing. Like there's a stylistic difference between them.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with
and
that.
So in general, the Western context, it is Japanese produced ones. And that's the one I lean more towards as well. But I just find it really funny that the word originates in Japan and it's like all inclusive. It can be anything.
Yeah, it's everything. And then,
everyone.
And then we've penned it, Americans have penned it specifically to Japan.
Let's blame the bloody Americans.
Jeez, I did not know that. Okay. See, because in my eyes, so let me just name a couple of clear ones that I would say anime. Dragon Ball. Pokemon.
Okay, well, are these ones that you've watched personally?
Oh, yeah, that I've watched personally. But I'm just saying, Dragon Ball, Naruto, Pokemon, right? Now, they've got a style to them.
Wait. Give me your whole list. Give me every single anime that you've watched.
Ooh, okay. I'll see if I can go. So, of those, I've mentioned those three. Digimon.
Yep.
I've also watched. Now, I haven't watched like every single episode and every single season, but like that I've seen.
Let's just say like at least 2 episodes that you've watched.
Digimon, Beyblades.
Beyblades,
so back in the day. Yu-Gi-Oh! Would you call that anime? I don't know. See?
Yes.
Would you call that anime? Okay.
I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh's from Japan.
Arcane, I'm going to call it. There's anime. No. I don't think that there's any others that scream out at all.
Well, if you're going to include Arcane, you've got to include The Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama.
All right, let's not include it.
Rick and Morty.
What other ones would you say? Because I think that's probably it for me, to be honest.
Okay, well, here's my list.
Yeah.
So
probably all of those.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to go through them all because I wrote them down. Dragon Ball Z, Beyblades, One Piece, Naruto, Hunter x Hunter, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, Mob Psycho 100, Fairy Tail, Seven Deadly Sins, Assassination Classroom, Doctor Stone, Fate Zero, Van Helsing OVA, Black Clover, Gintama, Devilman Crybaby, Totoro, Beelzebub, I wrote Totoro twice, Steins Gate, Berserk, Pokemon, Hakume no Ippo, and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Whoa,
I've watched a whole bunch.
There's a couple in there that you mentioned as well that I have seen, like droids, like Droid and Droid. I remember that when you just mentioned that, I'm like, oh yeah, droids.
I didn't say droids.
Oh, did you say droids? There's something that was similar to droids that you said as well that list. Well, there's another one that was, I remember droids for sure.
Okay.
And there's another one that you said on that list. I was like, okay, I have watched that.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
It was real funny for me looking at this and just going over all of them and being like, holy shit, I've watched a lot, man. Now, once again, same for me. I haven't watched all of these, but I've watched enough.
How many hours do you think you've dumped into One Piece? Or Naruto?
One Piece would have been more, I reckon. I think I watched all of them up until like halfway. So that's 500 episodes. I watched them multiple times as well.
Damn.
So that's
500 times half an hour each one of them, something like that.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
Jeez, a lot of times. Like 1,500 hours time multiplied by whatever it may be.
A lot, man. And I was thinking like, God damn, when did I actually watch all this? Because to do this, I couldn't remember all of this off the top of my head. I just wrote in Google, top 500
and
animes,
being like, oh yeah, that one.
Scrolled through the list and was like, yep, I watched that. Yeah, I watched that. And I'm pretty sure it was the period from sort of late high school up until the end of university. So there's probably about 5 years there where I watched a lot. And I do remember just being in my room a lot. And like, this is like classic bullshit Kyron, staying up until 3 a.m. watching random shit.
How old were you when you were watching some of these?
The university age. So
okay.
It's like late teens.
I remember the time that I used to watch this. I remember specifically. I think my mum's actually listening to this live, so she might recall it too. But I
see your dad on the chat. He said looking good, and we had my brother who said Arcane was amazing.
Oh yes, Arcane, dude, Arcane was really good.
Well, he's the one who I got the recommend. He was the one watching, and I was like, joining in with him watching.
Gotcha.
And then I was the one pushing like, hey, let's watch some
I
episodes.
think it would have been when I was 7 years old. I remember watching Dragon Ball 7, 8, 9 because my auntie at the time would record the Dragon Ball episodes for me and I would watch it when I got back from school. Do you remember? And so I would watch like, oh, here's the next episode. So that really got me going. So I would have been, like 7 years old watching this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Just keep speaking, man. I'm going to fix up the light because you look like you're getting blinded by it on the
100% getting blinded by the light. The other question that I was going to ask you was, so before we probably get into the Boostagram Lounge, I was going to actually ask you what makes an enjoyable anime more than anything, because I think we could get straight into, what's your favorite anime? And then talk about that. But I feel like it's a pretty simple question. I think a better approach would be, what makes a good anime? Like, what really draws you into a good anime? And then we can be like, and this is why this particular one is one that really drew you in, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at my whole list, man, and apart from Totoro and Steins Gate, all of them involve fighting.
Yeah.
All of them involve violence. Mm-hmm. No, which I found was really funny.
I had the fight scenes.
Yeah. Yep. I found really funny because I'm not a fan of violence just in general. Like even... I was watching a Lex Friedman clip the other day. It just popped up on my YouTube and I clicked it. And I had what's the guy, the GSB? Is that his name? The martial arts
GSP.
GSP. Yeah. And we're joking in Japan how like we'd mess up GSP or something, whatever that was. And anyway, he was teaching Lex what to do in a street fight. And this is probably one of the first times I've ever disliked a video. Because
on YouTube,
so I was watching it and I was just thinking, like, this isn't. I'm not sure this is helping anyone really, because it was sort of, what do you do in a street fight? And then he was just showing how to, you always got to throw a punch. You don't want to go to the ground in a street fight and things like that. And he didn't particularly mention at the start that the best thing to do is to run away or to de-escalate. It was just assumed automatically
you're going to be punch. Yeah. But now, just pretend you're an anime.
If you're GSB or Lex Friedman, who has some...
Well, he's a Brazilian.
He's a black belt.
He's a black belt, so...
You assume he knows how to fight, just the general fight. And I was like, man, that's not helpful. That's not... I don't think that's a useful thing just to be promoting to tons of people. Like, this is a street fight. This is what you should do. Yeah. And not include, hey,
so you're not you're not a proponent of violence, is what you're saying. You're not a proponent of violence. But I regardless, wrote that down as well. So I went, what makes me enjoy animes? The fight scenes, for one. I think it's the over-the-top graphics as well. The crescendo that builds up as well with them. So whether it's the fighting, so I think why I liked Arcane so much was the almost over-the-top graphics that came along with it. And I remember at the start of like each episode, it's like, oh, by the way, there's like the level of graphics here could make you hallucinate. But it was like, you're going to have epileptic seizures if you see all this flashing.
I forgot about that.
Oh, damn. So like that was pretty cool. But when I think through to, Dragon Ball or Beyblade, they would have some sort of formulations in terms of the graphics just being like, it's a massive clash or something coming out of the Beyblade.
It would become more intense. It would...
it would build to a crescendo. Like you'd be like, oh yes, this is getting bigger. This is getting cooler. This is getting cooler.
Instead of being a couple of frames per scene, it would maybe jump up to 20 or something.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was specifically about it, because it's not like they had enthralling storylines. Arcane did, but if I recall back to Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, I remember watching it the first time. I watched every single episode of Dragon Ball Z from the get-go, like on TV, all the way through Boo Saga and like just the very end of it.
Yeah.
And I've rewatched the whole thing as well, but watched it so that it removes all of the talking out of it as well. So it's obviously, much shorter, so you get to see just all the fighting.
Yeah, that's
and while it was good, it like lacked that, I did enjoy when there was a bit of a pause, a bit of a break. And I looked back and I went, I don't think it was that I was enthralled by the storyline as much, but it was the pause in the fighting that then made me look forward to the next fight. It kind of like build up the anticipation. So when it was just like back to back, it didn't have like that crescendo build up. It was just like all this overwhelming amount of energy. So you're just like, oh my God. And then it kind of just becomes boring almost sort of thing. So the pauses did contribute as well. So I did like that. There's when the anime's got a lot of build up, like a crescendo, but has some pauses as well to let you like re-energized for the next thing that comes along.
Yeah, okay. That just brought up something for me of how to watch anime. Like, what's
Okay.
the best way of doing it? But we'll get onto that in a sec.
Okay.
The other thing that jumped out at me was, I suppose the switch up in style. So, like, if it's just monotonous throughout, if it's always the same thing, I think I tend to get a little bit bored by that.
What's an example, do you think?
So one would be One Piece, for example. So recently, with their different arcs, you can see the style just get way better. You know, One Piece is so old, man, that the original ones you look at and you're like, oh, geez, that's sort of just clunky. Like there's
It's like
no
watching
vibrant...
the original Simpsons almost. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is completely different.
Yeah, so there's no vibrant colors. There's, you know, it's the voice actors, I believe, have stayed the same throughout. If they've changed, I haven't been able to tell.
Okay.
In any case, they've gone to like a sort of samurai arc at the moment, and so all of the fight scenes, all of the music as well, has become more oriental, more you know, old school style. I'm not great at graphic design, so I don't know how to explain it, but the style certainly has changed as compared to a couple of years ago, and compared to a previous arc and things like that. So, and it's all been improving as well. Now that's for one particular show, so it's gone for a long time. But I think being able to have it switch up in between episodes, for example, is a good thing.
I'll give you an example that I would personally know is like when I first watched also Pokemon and the first sort of series and evolutions of Pokemon. It was good and it was changing enough, but the later seasons, and I'm sure Pokemon is still getting created like now as like new episodes, but that to me felt like it got pretty monotonous to the point I was like, okay, it's kind of like the same thing. There's not like a lot of change up, so there wasn't much of a drive. I think similarly with Beyblade at a time, I think similar with Yu-Gi-Oh as well, but then others I don't know specifically can pick why, but things like Dragon Ball just changed enough in the arc where there was, you know, the different enemy or the different challenges, the evolutions to it, that it did feel like it was fresh and there was something new that was coming along, as opposed to like, okay, well, it's just the same sort of people and doing similar sort of things.
Yeah. I had a question for you, and this is continuing on an argument we've had before, which was, I'm willing to be convinced on why I should be listening to the dub version rather than the subbed.
Oh, okay. So this is how we'd actually watch
subtitles. So this is hearing the original voices in the original Japanese, and hence anime.
Yep.
Versus the dubbed ones where you hear the dubbing over of the, and so sometimes they'll change the lips. I think if it's popular enough. So One Piece, I think, might do this, and Naruto. And usually they'll have an American company take over. So it's usually, I think, Toei, Toei, animation in Japan, and then they'll change it to I had it just then in the top of my head, Funimation or something like
Funimation.
that. And then they'll do those rejigging and change them themselves. But
I think
why should I be?
I don't know if I could convince anyone, because thinking it through, why I prefer the dubbed over the subbed is purely that whenever I started watching any anime or shows for that matter, it was originally in Spanish, so it was already dubbed in a way. So it was dubbed, but not to English. It was dubbed to Spanish,
of course. Yeah.
And then I listened to it in English. So I never actually listened to the subbed version of any anime.
Yeah.
And when I listened to the dubbed English version in comparison to Spanish, I went, this is way better.
Oh, really?
Like, this is way better. Like I remember if you ever go check out
Juan starts like, as usual for Juan, he starts on like the lowest
possible, and then I just went to like something higher. So if you ever, like, I remember
gradually evolving,
listening to Spanish Simpsons in comparison to English Simpsons is like very different. And so I went like,
I've heard some.
I want to listen to English Simpsons. But it was similar for me when I listened to some Spanish anime, and then I went, oh, okay, that's what it sounds like in English. This is better. And then I never moved beyond I even think I wouldn't even have recalled, like, if you'd asked me as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, somewhere around that age, I think I would have told you, yeah, like Dragon Ball is just in English. Like, that's just what it is. It's not like, oh, was it really originally in Japanese? And it might have been somewhere along, you know, maybe 14, 15, 16, when I realized, oh, okay, there are subbed versions of this where it's like the original people talking. But by that stage, I just had in my mind that, oh, that's how they should sound, and that's how I've just been listening to all the time. I did try and watch some Dragon Ball subbed because I'm just too used to dubbed. I'm too used to dubbed. And so I actually rewatched a lot of it when it started being dubbed again. And I enjoyed it a lot more.
Okay, that's a good point. I think being able to do it when you've only been listening to it in dubbed before and then trying to switch to subbed, that can be really hard.
And I also have this thing. I also have this thing where this is like broader than just anime, but whether it's movies, whether it's series, I don't particularly enjoy watching something and reading the text below while I'm watching it. I sort of want to watch it directly. So here's another example. At the moment, I'm watching Narcos. Right? Okay. And one thing that I'm really enjoying, just a very basic, Colombian Narcos, basic one. And what I'm really enjoying about it is that sure, there's a lot of text at the bottom if you're someone who's listening and doesn't understand Spanish. But for me, I don't have to read it. It's almost like a practice of listening into what they're talking about and listening in Spanish and English. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But if I was watching, let's just say an equivalent, it was Russian, and I had to read all this text in English, but they're all talking Russian, I don't know if I would enjoy that. And it's not the language thing, it's I don't want to be reading plus watching it. Like I want my focus to be just on the action, I guess, not the text and trying to keep up with that.
Yeah, well, it takes away the enjoyment. In language learning, a lot of them say do it by watching your favorite TV show, but with subtitles, or watch a movie in German but with English subtitles perhaps, so you can do it, or vice versa, watch something that you like but with subtitles in German.
Yeah,
but it takes away from the experience of it.
It does a little bit. It feels a little bit removed from it. Well, it takes away from the magic that, especially whether it's anime or a movie, you feel engrossed into it when it's like you're just like watching it and it's a fight. You're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to Vegeta or something else like that. But if you got text coming through, maybe just slightly cracks the wall on the fact that you're so engrossed in the particular video or whatever you're watching. What about for you? Yeah. Why subbed over dubbed?
For me, it's sort of getting back to what Adam Curry was saying about how he wants to view it. People not to listen at 1.5 speed because he's sort of creating a work of art. That's how I sort of see it as well. Gotcha. They're creating it with these voices in mind. This is how maybe it's already slightly distorted, I guess, because it probably came from a manga originally and then was created into an anime. But usually they have a strong input from the writer in terms of choices of the voice actors, in terms of choices of which parts get cut out and which get left in, of filler arcs if they have them. One Piece has tons of them, of style-wise animation choices, things like that. So I'm more inclined to it because it's more representative of what they wanted it.
Yeah, more of the original. More, it's kind of like reading a Dostoevsky book and being able to read it in Russian as opposed to reading the dubbed version in English. You might just get more of the original core focus and messages coming out of it.
For sure. Yeah, it definitely would be a little bit different. But then again, you hear something like Vegeta or
and it's high pitched or whatever. So when I first heard the Japanese version of Dragon Ball, in Japanese, I went, what is this? Yeah. I'm like, no, I want the more manlier, more rough sounding voice here.
Yeah. So same thing here. We had one of the comments was saying, imagine how much you would have loved Arcane if you played League of Legends.
Who was this? Was this P?
West Side Baby.
Oh, well, exactly right. How much would I have enjoyed it? It would have multiple times over. So I went, if you've got a love for some of these players, you would be like, oh my goodness, how good is this? There's the storyline of this, etc.
I wonder if it could be a double-edged sword though, because if you're really invested in, say, the manga beforehand, and then the anime comes out, and you're like, I did not picture
Harry Potter style.
Harry Potter.
I thought Ron was black.
Yeah,
I thought Ron was black.
I thought it was Hermione, not Hermione.
Yeah, Ron's black to me. Ron is black.
It's still in his heart.
Ron should have been black. All right, we should put a pause there. We should do a little bit of a Boostagram.
Yeah, let's
lounge.
do it, man. Let's do it.
Let's do a Boostagram lounge before we get back into it.
This one's a pretty easy one. So for this week, we had only one, but boy, it was a good one coming. So this was a relatively simple one. It says, great interview, ! Go podcasting, !
This is with Adam Curry.
Go podcasting! I assume so. I didn't actually go into the details of why, but I assume it was. And that was 10,000 Satoshi sent using Breeze by an anonymous.
Anonymous. This is without... How do you do this? How can it be anonymous?
So with Breeze, when you go into it, it's really basic. It's more of a Lightning app than it is a podcast.
You don't have to have a name attached to it.
Hooked onto it. So if you go into any one of these, if I start playing something and I hit the boost button...
So currently,
I'm just
showing
one on
his phone for those listening at home in the audio.
So it'll say Boostagram optional, and so you can just hit boost. But what normally happens with the other players is you've already entered in your name, or there's a section to put in your name.
Here we don't actually have to do that.
So you don't, So in this one, it's kind of annoying because you would have to take up space in those 90 characters to put your name in.
Gotcha. Well, thank you very much, Anonymous, whoever you're out there. That's always appreciated. So thank you very much for the big boost.
But what was really nice this week was we actually had a couple of days of people streaming, which is actually kind of rare. We have more people boosting us, or it's more like a boost attached to some stream.
Sure.
So they'll listen and then they'll boost at the end. What was actually kind of nice was waking up and seeing like, oh, we got 100 Satoshis, 120 or something, just from people streaming.
Just listening.
So that was even just not even, sending a Boostagram in, but still appreciating the show enough to be doing it through the stream. And I'm not sure where and how much the bigger shows, so let's just say, and it's funny to say bigger show because we're number 6 on the list.
Number 6, folks. Number 6.
Number 6 of most Satoshi streams
in the world.
In the world.
We're not talking here. We're not talking Australia. Number 6 in the world of streamed.
Big ballers over here.
Yeah.
And so when I say the big ones, I really mean podcasting 2.0 and No Agenda. Yes. Yeah. And I'm not sure how much of what their percentage split is of Boostagrams and boosts compared to streaming, but it would be nice to know. It would be nice to get our streaming one up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good.
But yes, thank you to the anonymous person.
Thank you for anonymous.
I want to take a guess, but I feel it'd be rude if I got it wrong. So
don't guess. I'm
not going to even anonymous. Guess. Yeah.
If you're listening and you're anonymous and you put that through, really do appreciate it, and thank you very much for supporting.
100%. And once again, this is a circular thing. I'm at the moment just trying to onboard more people, so I'm. Usually, at the moment, I'm just sending Boostagrams to Bitcoin podcasts who have enabled their thing. So this is things like Robert Breedlove's What is Money? There was the Kevin Rook show. I think it was called This is Bitcoin. And just explaining Kieran Nolan as well. He's got one called Bitcoin Aggregated. And just explaining to them like, hey, you can get messages and you can do it through this way, through the Satoshi stream, or Dave's got this new thing coming out. So just so you know. So yes, those sats are going straight back into the economy.
Correct.
There's not much hodling going over here.
I have a mere mortal side name. All right, back into it. I've got a question for you for animes. Do you rewatch animes?
I have.
Why?
Boredom, I think, was the choice back in the day.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I got to the end of One Piece and then restarted again. Which is wild, man.
Wild.
I wouldn't like.
That's so many hours.
Ain't nobody got time for that nowadays. And I have, and for it'd probably be mostly boredom, but then enjoyment as well. So I would rewatch Arcane. I think if
I would rewatch,
the opportunity came up.
I would rewatch Arcane before the new season of Arcane came out. Like I would be prepared to go and do that and put that investment. That's really good. I really enjoyed it to be doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Do you feel like you learned anything from animes?
Friendship, man. Always come.
Friendship. Okay. Yeah.
It's like the standard trope that what we learned at the end was friendship. It was so if like they get to the end of One Piece and the treasure is the journey and the friends we've made along the way, I think there'll be fucking riots, man.
I don't think I ever took that away from any animes, dude. I don't think. I definitely know there was like points to that, but I never took that.
It's a big one in like Naruto or Naruto, for example. That friendship and the bonds formed is I need to look up the name for what that actually, because it's a word that just keeps getting repeated over and over again. You'll hear it everywhere. But No, I wouldn't. And that was more of a joke on my part. No, I haven't learnt particularly anything from them other than just cultural references, I think.
Gotcha.
So being able to, wear a Dragon Ball Z shirt and not be weirded out if someone's like, Krillin! Like has happened to me multiple times. I get the joke. I get why that's
you
funny.
Understand the
if I didn't and I was wearing this shirt and someone shouted out at me, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I think for me, and I'm going to say there's probably more sitting in subconscious than conscious, really. But I have a feeling that from watching a lot of Dragon Ball, probably a lot of Pokemon, maybe a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like I got this, I would say, it would have supported my growth mindset in the sense that, there's all this like evolutions and like you work hard or you put in some effort and you grow.
They're usually pretty
I reckon there is some level to me that now is, whether it's more from training or in other factors of my life, where I'm like, oh yeah, this is the evolution, this is like the growth sector. I feel like I get some of it from the anime that I watched when I was younger, in the whole I remember watching Goku when he went Super Saiyan against Frieza, and it's a whole dynamic of, put in the effort, evolve, be better. I reckon it's something that rubbed off on me and being like, oh yeah, apply that to real life. Did you ever go through a stage when you were younger, or lately, where you try to emulate something in anime? Or in an anime? I'll let you think. I 100%, I'm going to tell you a little story. So let's take us back to primary school. I was in year 7 and it's Beyblade time, right? This is like year 6, year 7. Everyone's buying the Beyblades. Everyone's watching Beyblades at the time. And I recall people starting to take Beyblades and little Beyblade stadiums into school and doing little duels. And we got to such a point that we didn't get to the extent that we thought that we were controlling the Beyblades, but we certainly were going deep with people and going we would set up. So a friend of mine and me, I would be the manager, right? I would be the manager of the team, and there'd be 2 of them, and we'd bring in Beyblades and we'd open them up, check them. We'll be oh no, if we put this disc again, that particular one's going to beat it. We got a particular, because I don't know if you ever played around with Beyblades, but you could get different centers and whatever.
Yep.
We ended up sharpening a steel one up against the ground to make it super sharp to cut other Beyblades, but it was super heavy. So we went into all this focus of, okay, as a manager, I'm ooh, all right, that looks like a light Beyblade. We'll use this one. Just make sure you rip it really hard, and we'll just go through and destroy them. But
how would you fight? What arenas were you using?
We bought Beyblade arenas. So we had little plastic Beyblade. I remember green arena, where it was basically orientated as a concave. It's
going into the middle,
yeah. Concave. Is that right? Yes. Yeah. Not convex. Concaved in, and so they're fighting against the middle, and that's what we do. For some reason, it also reminds me that I think we got into trouble for doing this at school. I don't know specifically why.
You're bloody sharpening heavy objects.
Well, I don't know if that's
can spin
maybe. Look, that might be the reason.
Young Timmy puts his finger in to stop it, and he comes out missing the top of his finger.
Something calls out to mind that I tried to grab it, or someone tried to grab it and did scrape their hand or cut their finger or something to do with this. So.
It's got off, yeah.
But I do remember doing that with that's the influence of anime back then.
Yeah, for sure. I the grinding aspect's a smart one. There's 2 other, funnily enough, that jumped into my mind that I'd forgotten. One was Kenichi, History's Strongest Disciple, and in that one, he's a little runt kid who grows up, basically just trains his ass off every day, and they're doing all these excruciating things where he's pulling sandbags with the master on top who's whipping him, going through electrocution sort of style fighting stuff, always getting his ass burnt and whatnot. And you see his evolution over time, and it's he's starting to get stronger. Oh, he can start doing these things. And by the end, he's a total badass. And you're damn, Kenichi, he's got his shit going. Another one, Toriko, and I think most of the ones I mentioned, they all start off really weak. And it's the gradual...
Yeah, I think there's something to the evolution. The only anime that I've ever watched that I enjoyed that didn't have that evolution was One Punch Man. That was the only one where it's he's so overpowered, doesn't matter. But the enemies evolve. It's the enemies that evolve in that.
Yeah, and his compatriots, his disciple, it's the cyborg, demon cyborg. He
can't remember the name.
Yeah, he starts off weak. Or not weak, they're all pretty strong, but they get stronger.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
the
So
game.
that's the only one where like the main character's just OP from the beginning, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, but it still it's attractive and good to watch.
For sure. Have you ever seen any which aren't violent at all? That are more based on like comedies? So Gintama's sort of one of like a comedy one, but it still has some fight scenes.
I don't think I have. I don't think I've watched any that are.
There's a whole chunk of love related ones that, you know, just it's just pure. It's like drama.
Oh man, one that just calls to mind straight away that I'd forgotten for a long time. I watched a hell of a lot of Sailor Moon.
Oh really?
I watched a lot of Sailor Moon, but keep talking because I've got to find this. There's one because I want to see if I test you. So I watched a lot of Sailor Moon, but it had a little bit of fighting.
Yeah.
I do remember I had a bit of fighting, but it was more storyline. But
Yeah.
there was one about cards. Do you remember an anime that was a long time ago? It was definitely shown in Australia because I watched it in Australia, and it was like a young girl with a staff that had cards, and she would like utilize the cards, and every card would transform into something else. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, not particularly. I mean, it might be one that appears in my mind. There's definitely a couple that I can remember. I saw Sailor Moon in the list, but I don't think I ever watched it. But there was
Card Captor.
Card
Sakura.
Captor.
Did you ever watch this?
I know the name. If you show me a picture of it, I might recall something.
Let me bring up the actual anime images.
Yeah, because there was another one I remember, which was a kid gets transported into this world where he's sort of fighting like magical creatures. Like there's chess type ones. Yeah, it's such a vague description. I could be listing
Completely off.
but it's so clear in my mind what it was. And
this is Card Captor. We can put up a little video or an image of this. I'm just showing
I've never
Karen this
watched
couple
that.
of videos. You never watched this?
No.
Dude, so this one I used to watch all the time. I don't even know where the hell I was watching this, but I enjoyed this to no end.
Yeah,
Card
okay.
Captor.
Nice. That's
So
fun.
there's definitely another. It's a Sakura. Yeah, that just called out to mind.
Okay.
Dang, this is pretty cool because it's winding me back memory lane or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Shows
There's definitely
don't
some
remember.
of these which I remember now. I'm like, oh yeah. And God, man, the amount that I have watched just on YouTube of 10-minute clips of like thought slayers and anime or something. And so it's,
Dude, there is so specifically.
that's my funniest one.
So the one I wanted to ask you was favorite anime moments. Because I watched like some of my favorite anime moments.
Yeah.
Specifically for me have been definitely Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z related. There's a couple of others, but I have watched some to like
You just rewatch
at
and
least
rewatch.
100 times I've seen some.
Yeah. Okay. There's one moment in One Piece where Zoro sort of takes his captain's burden, I guess. So this is where they all get wiped. Like they do this epic fight, they all get wiped out.
Yep.
And then another dude who's on the same level of the one that they just spent a whole arc, so 40 episodes trying to fight, just randomly appears out of nowhere. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill you all now," or like, "I'm gonna take your captain."
Yeah.
And so they have to sort of, they're dead tired and they try to refight again. And basically they lose. And so Zoro's like, I'll be in my captain's place. And so he takes this big ball of energy and he like gets wrecked and everyone thinks he's dead. But everything turns out all right, but no one knows why.
No one knows why.
And it turns out because he basically saved all of them.
Yeah.
Just the music, the timing, the build up from this huge arc.
It's the build up. That's the thing. That's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Is generally the build up. There's only a few moments in anime where I could rewatch it and I don't have to be in the storyline to be like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
but then there's some that are like, it's the arc that makes it. It's watching it for a while.
The fighting in those little build up, like the couple of things leading up to it, was nothing. It's average, but it was the whole weight of everything that it represents. Behind it, that was definitely a big one for me.
Okay. For me, it was the build up one was Gohan beating Cell with like the joint Kamehamehas, and he had like then the help of Goku who was dead, sort of in the background type of deal. That was like that build up to the whole Cell saga was like huge, and the original. Correct? No, the original Dragon Ball was supposed to finish at Frieza, but then they extended it and it was supposed to finish at Cell. That was supposed to be like the absolute final thing, and then it got pushed again to Buu. But like that Cell was supposed to be like end all sort of thing, and it was like again, music, the timing, the whole thing. It was just like amazing.
Yeah.
But
Oh, sorry, just before that, Patricia suggests Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh, well, I wouldn't call that
Yeah.
anime. I wouldn't call that anime.
Yeah,
Wrong, mum. Wrong. I wouldn't call that anime. But I did watch
just
Dexter's
call that a
Laboratory.
cartoon.
Oh, yeah, that would be just cartoon. But
if I had to list all the cartoons
I've
I've watched
so
as well.
many, it'd be so many. So much hours wasted. But there are two. One where Vegeta's fighting Goku in Dragon Ball, and Vegeta does Gatling gun against Goku, and then Goku does Kaioken times 10 or times 20 and a Kamehameha, and like they both blow each other up. But just the incredible video or the energy that comes from that. I remember watching that particular video, and when Vegeta does a final flash against Cell, those two videos, I'm telling you, I've watched before I've gone to the gym or when I'm going to do like a really heavy lift, and I just like multiplies me by like 50 of like energy. I'm just like, oh yeah, here we go. I've even like, I remember many years ago, I would like go and do the benching, and I would have that playing on YouTube through my headphones, and I would just know like the exact moment of that particular anime. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. So yeah, if anyone wants to get really amped up, final flash from Vegeta against Cell, and the Gatling gun against Goku with Kaioken.
I'll have to watch that too.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable techers. That's awesome, man. Okay, here's a question. Did you ever feel there was a stigma attached to watching anime? Did you ever feel like it would be embarrassing to admit it, for example?
I don't think so. I think I was too dumb and not Australian enough to know whether that was a bad thing. Because like when I was living in Colombia, like my auntie was like saving Dragon Ball, and so I would watch it. And I can kind of remember some friends that I had in Colombia, but I don't think anyone gave a shit. Like everyone was playing like Tazos and marbles and stuff like that at school, and we talked about things like that. That was fine.
I think in primary school, no, everyone was watching Dragon Ball Z. My funny story from that is when September 11 happened that morning, because it was in the morning here. I remember just being, utterly enraged that
the anime
were
was
playing
taken down
news instead of putting anime on.
Yeah.
I just remember being so angry about that. So
you were like, God damn it, what's going on? Yeah,
so
I think I was
that.
watching something as well too, and that happened.
Yeah. But when it gets to high school, I think, and especially probably sort of like grade 9 to 12, so this is when puberty's really kicking in. So let's just say 14 to 17. I definitely remember, and maybe even a couple of years after that, getting into university, I remember I would not join in discussions, or I would hold my tongue if someone said something that reminded me of an anime and I could have talked about that or brought it up. I wouldn't do that. And I remember being somewhat embarrassed by not the amount that I was watching, but just that I was watching it in general.
I think I might have stopped watching anime probably when I was in year 8, and I think there was a combination of I watched a lot of anime, so specifically like Dragon Ball and Yu-Gi-Oh! And that when I could, but then all of a sudden what more started taking over was swimming in the mornings. Then it was like I didn't really have a laptop or a spare TV to watch some of the animes, and it was probably gaming that more took over around that time. So I would have been playing more video games, whether it was on the PlayStation or wherever, and like car games, etc.
Yeah.
So that took up more time than actually watching any shows. So there was probably a good period between year 8 through to year 12 and even beyond that I was like, oh, I'm not watching as much anime anymore. Maybe I would watch it every now and again, and maybe I'd be like, oh, I'd watch an episode of Dragon Ball on a daily basis or in the afternoon, like a shortened version. But it never was as much as probably what I was watching when I was way, way younger. So that probably didn't lead me to like talk about it that often either. So I was just like, no, I'm not keeping up with the majority of these animes.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know what it is for me. Like when it changed for me, I think there was a period of me not watching it when I started work, just didn't have time. And then I wouldn't say I watch it nowadays. Like I watch little clips on YouTube, but I don't, if a One Piece one comes out, I'm not there watching a full half.
Yeah, like the first thing that comes out, like, let's watch it. Yeah, no.
Like those, I've found a channel which condenses what would normally be, I think, a full episode 30 minutes into about 7 minutes.
Okay.
And those are pretty good. I've been watching a couple of those just whilst being sick and being like, oh yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is nice, but...
Well, like the very latest, so it's Dragon Ball Super. So it was Dragon Ball Z.
I was trying to look
went
it up,
to Dragon Ball GT, then I went back to Dragon Ball Super. So that one came out in 2015 all the way to 2018. Gee, I thought it was like sooner. The hell, like the last episode was 4 years ago. That's crazy.
Damn.
That's insane. But like when Dragon Ball Super came out, I was kind of wrapped up in the hype of it. I watched some of it when they started coming out, and then it kind of got to a point where I went, I don't want to watch it. Like I don't want to watch it as much because I just wasn't as interested to just keep on watching. I then went back in a thinking way of, I'll start from Dragon Ball Z and watch all of that, and then Dragon Ball Super. Maybe that'll get me into it. And then I watch a few more episodes, and then it kind of stops.
Yeah.
And then I watched similarly like a YouTube video where it was like the whole of Dragon Ball Super condensed into 2 hours or something without any talking and whatnot. So I was like, okay, that'll do.
Yeah, I think it can be hard to get back into some things. Like there's some periods of time and some shows which are they're in the past. There's no point going back to them, even if there's a rejig.
Like I couldn't imagine myself rewatching anything in Beyblades or Zoids or anything like that. No. I don't think that has like an interest to me. That's like in the moment. Yeah. Maybe things like Digimon, because I guess the evolution, from what I can recall, like I really enjoyed Digimon for its evolutions and that. Yeah. But perhaps it's one of those that it's like at that time. It's kind of like when you reminisce on, like for me, I reminisce on Zelda. So playing Zelda, and my parents will remember this very well. We had the main TV set up at home, and I fought the final battle against the final boss in front of my mum, dad, and my sister. Everyone watching. Like it was everyone watching as I played the final. And I was like, everybody sit down. Dude, I'm pretty sure I was playing for like an hour, and everyone was just watching this finale. And I just thought like, oh, what a great game. Like it was. And it's still a great game.
Family,
dude,
man.
They would do this all the time.
My mum and dad would not do that.
Dude, if they're still listening to this, I bet you they will remember this.
That is hilarious.
But then I remember playing it like through an emulator. Like many years later, I'm going, this is not that great. Like I've got to ride on a horse, like go like for 20 minutes to go to a certain place. No, I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
In the moment, fantastic. I think similar with anime.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to ask you about was, have you ever gotten into mangas? So where a lot of anime comes from is the actual comic books that they write.
I'm trying to really think it through. I don't think I've ever read a manga.
Yeah,
and I'm saying I've looked at the pages, but I've never gone end to end on a manga. So I would say definition, never read a manga.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, because I think that's probably, I went from the animes to the mangas, or manga, however you say it. I think, and what I will do nowadays is there's a couple, One Piece for example, they only have a thing released once every week. So
as in a manga or anime?
And a chapter. Gotcha. Yeah, a chapter of they do it simultaneously, really. So, gotcha. So I will read that, and it takes a minute maybe, because there's only 20 something things, and you can go through it pretty quick.
Yep.
So yeah, I think like probably like 10 minutes a week. There's a couple that I read still.
Okay. Still to this day.
Yeah, still to this day.
Oh my God, Karen down.
That's my.
There it is. It's been revealed. It's like Mere Mortalites. Karen is still a mere mortal reading some
mere mortal manga. Mere mortal manga.
Yeah, What do you read it? If people wanted to go check out this manga, where do they go?
So there's the official, I think, like Viz Shonen Jump website, and they have the first 3 and the latest 3 of the whatever it is. So on One Piece, they've got like the first 3. And then, like 1044, 1045, 1046.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it's not great if you want to read the back catalogue.
Gotcha.
Also, man, God knows how much time I've spent doing that.
The back catalogue.
A lot. And so, yeah, there's, I think, like One Piece. What are the other ones? Dr. Stone and My Hero Academia. Spy vs. Spy. There's a couple which I read, but not many. It's
is it free for like?
It's free. You just go on there, and I think if you pay, you can get the back catalog.
Gotcha. Like okay. Well, there you go. There's a little recommendation. Mere Mortalites if you want to get into manga.
But yeah, it's and it's really simple because it's essentially a storyboard. So creating the anime it would still be difficult, but
made easier
I would say all the 95% of the hard work has been done in that the storyboard has been created. So you just have to add in the extra bits.
I'm going to say it's not 95% because I feel like creating the actual anime would take so much effort and like editing. But the storyline is pretty much created by the
foundation. Yeah. I'm not sure how many successful animes have been, and like long-standing ones have been created without a manga attached to it.
Yeah.
All I can think of is maybe things like Totoro, which is, a movie, and Howl's Moving Castle, things like that.
Yeah.
But even them, I think, might have originally come from a manga or something, and they've just
And then
made
translated
it
to
into
them.
a
No, it makes sense
movie
because I mean,
format.
if we're talking like the definition of anime is Japanese made, cartoons, I guess, or characters and the like, and most of them begin their lives with manga. So,
But how funny is that? Because in the Western style, how many things do you know started off as a comic book and transferred over into being a cartoon? I can't think of any mainstream ones that have done that.
well, like would you term Superman? Like,
Yeah,
Superman,
I guess so.
Superman,
Yeah,
Big Superman,
I guess
Batman.
Yeah. Now that
all of the Marvel and DC heroes, all of them.
I guess so.
started
Yeah,
with comic
yeah,
books.
yeah. I take it back. And now that I think about it, things like Tintin, things like the what's the Asterix and Obelix? Yeah, those.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's how it's called, right?
I think it's called
and
Asterisk and Obelix.
Yeah, yeah. Those.
I
ones.
read that tons loads too.
Yeah,
dude.
me too.
I'm
Me
pretty. If I haven't, I came close to reading like every single book there was in existence of that.
Damn, nice.
Easily, I would have. Mum knows as well. I rented out every goddamn single one of those and read them all.
Yeah, from
many
the
times
library.
over,
Yep.
dude. Many times over.
Yeah, me too. You'd just go there and there'd be like a fat stack of them. You'd grab them and you'd be re-grabbing a bunch of the same
Yeah.
ones, and you're like, oh, whatever.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
read
give a
again.
shit.
Yeah. Those look good actually.
Yeah.
Do we have
definitely.
any questions on the line there that we've missed out at all? Or?
We have one from Think This Up. When is the podcast going to happen with Faraz? You said that in your YouTube video comment. Yes, I've been delaying somewhat because I've just needed a break, to be honest.
True.
In the amount of stuff I was creating. So I would say look for it probably like early February.
Early February.
I hit him up and said basically let's aim for something at the end of January to record. And
Nice.
yeah, so thank you. Think This Up. That's roughly when I would do that, and I'll even reply to them on the actual thing.
Awesome.
Do you want to?
Any other comments in there that we have?
No, I think that we've covered everything. So yeah,
cool. All right. Well, I'll do a little sign off, folks. Again, thank you for joining us for now the second live in 2022. The mere mortals do appreciate when you come and jump in. If you're listening to this, of course, via audio or at a later time, you can always support us via what we were talking about. If you listen to our Boostagrams, the value for value
This
ways.
is correct.
So, go and check out all the latest podcasting apps that are out there to give you the ability to be able to stream sats or boosters or try to comment and just in general use different applications because there's some pretty nifty things that come out of it. So for this one, for example, I'm going to assume that Karen's going to put together a couple of really cool chapter art that we'll probably use for this.
No, not
and
so
videos.
much, man. Not
for this
Yeah.
one. That's probably more for meanderings. So if you want to
is
see
when I
that,
do all that, yeah.
meanderings does do some good stuff there. But look, that's where we see podcasting going in terms of the value for value of podcasting 2.0. So just as much as we're getting on board with it, me and Mortalites, we do appreciate if you can come along on the journey because eventually I'm predicting in 3 years, 4 years, we're probably all going to be there. So get on it early, come on the ride with us.
Lots of cool stuff, man.
Cool. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation about anime. Leave a little comment as well if there's any particular animes that you watched or enjoyed.
Yeah.
So a little comment there.
Joey Broadshoulders, Mere Mortals, I Love Yous appears right as we're finishing off. Thank
Good.
you, Joey.
That's how we're signing off. Me Mortalites, I hope you enjoyed. One out.
Karen out.
Good.
Peace. All right, let's turn this bad boy off. Sorry, Joey, you came in too late, mate. Gotta get in here at the correct time.